At least on the internet, there's a big crowd. So today we are celebrating the glorious appearance of Lord Balaram. It's Bala Purnima. It's the full moon, and Lord Balaram appeared on the full moon. So we're going to be speaking about Lord Balaram today, and the class goes for a little longer because there's a new outfit for the deities, a beautiful new outfit for the deities. So first we'll chant Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopi Janabalaba Kirivaradagure Gopi Jana Malaba Kirivaradagure Yasudanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yasudanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamuna Tera Manachare Yamuna Tera Manachare Jai Hurad Umadava Kunya Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopi Jana Palaba Kirivarodate Gopi Jana Madhava Kirivarodate Yasudanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yasudanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamuna Tera Panachare Yamuna Tera Panachare Jai Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jayurad Umadhuva Kunyabhigati Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paramahansa Osuteta Sutashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanad Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadwaita Garadha Shiva Siddhi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Sayam Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Machiradam Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Vanamai Ki Jai Srimati Glasi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Budale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Samaniti Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pacharni Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pasyacha Deja Tarni. So today, as I mentioned, is the commemoration or celebration of the appearance of Lord Balaram. So, in order to facilitate this discussion this morning, I'm going to read Prabhupada's very complete exposition about the position, the ontological position of Balaram in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and actually following Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's verses here in the Adi 5, beginning with text 4. So before we tell the stories about Balaram, we're actually going to describe who Balaram is. And also I'm going to make reference to something I heard from Prabhupada this morning about Balaram. So, Omagana Timidanda Shagananjana Shlakya Chakshur and Meditam Yena Tasmai Shigadavena Maha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, who opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, in this particular part of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we find that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has just been explaining the glories of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and now he's going to explain the glories of Lord Nityananda. Of course, we understand Balaram Hoila Nitai, that Nityananda is Balaram, or Balaram has appeared as Lord Nityananda, the older brother of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, reading text 4, Sarva Avatari Krishna Swayam Bhagavan Tanhara Dvatiya Deha Sri Balaram. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the fountainhead of all incarnations. Lord Balaram is his second body. And Prabhupada explains in the purport, Lord Sri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is the primeval Lord, the original form of Godhead, and his first expansion is Sri Balaram. The personality of Godhead can expand himself in innumerable forms. The forms that have unlimited potency are called swangsa, and forms that have limited potencies, living entities, that's the jiva souls, are called vivinangsha. So, this morning I was listening to a class where Prabhupada was discussing Krishna's expansions. And he quoted this very nice verse from the Upanishads. Eko Bahu Sham. So that means what Eko Bahu Sham means he's one and he becomes many. So it's quite interesting. And then Prabhupada also quoted the verse, one of my favorite verses in the Brahma Samhita, Advaita Achyuta Anadir Anantarupamadyam Purana Purasham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham Atma Bhakto. That there's one God, Advaita Achyuta, he's infallible. Achyuta Nadir, he's without beginning. Anantarupam, he has unlimited forms. Anantarupam Ajum Purana, he's the original, he's the oldest. Navayovanam Cha, and he's always youthful. Vedeshu Durlabham Atma Bhakto Govindamani Purasham Tamaham Bhajami. That is very difficult to understand this by the Vedas. But Adurlabham Atma Bhakto. So what does that mean? By the mercy of Krishna's devotees, or if one becomes a devotee of Krishna, of course, one only becomes a devotee by the mercy of Krishna's devotees, then one can understand these things. So by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, somehow or other, we're able to understand these things. And it's inconceivable. You have so many Vedic scholars and other people. Just like right now on the internet, there's a big discussion about where the soul came from, the same discussion. And Prabhupada was very specific, back to home, back to Godhead. So we can understand things through Srila Prabhupada's understanding. Otherwise, if we just pick and choose different verses out of context, we won't understand anything. So anyway, in this particular class, Prabhupada was explaining why Krishna expands himself as the Swamsa and Vibhinangsha. Swamsa means Vishnu Tattva, that are Advaita. They're all the same person, acting differently in different circumstances, in different places, or in the same place simultaneously. How about that? I've spoken about this many times before. So Prabhupada said, he was explaining the reason why Krishna does that. And he says that Krishna is Anandamoya Vyasat. Krishna is doing it for his enjoyment. I mean, this is really important. So Krishna expands himself or appears as Balaram or appears in his various incarnations, avatars, to enjoy. That's it. That's Krishna's motivation. So when Krishna appears as Balaram and interacts with Krishna, with Brajendra Nandana, Krishna's original form, it's all done for enjoyment. He's interacting with himself. Sometimes, just to use a gross material example, you may look in the mirror and talk to yourself. Hopefully you don't do that too often. But you may look in the mirror and talk to yourself. But let's say with God, he just wants to interact. Sometimes you'll find 3 or 4 incarnations or Vishnu Tattva expansions of Krishna there simultaneously, like, Ram, Lakshman, Bharata, and Shatrughna. And they're all interacting and displaying different aspects and different personalities, but they're all the same person. So Krishna expands as Balaram for his enjoyment. That's it. And then the interesting thing that Prabhupada explained, goes also in reference to the Vibhinangshas that are being described here, that Krishna expands as us for his enjoyment. Now, when I heard that this morning, that, somehow or other gave me a little realization that I am meant for Krishna's enjoyment. It's interesting, isn't it? If you really listen to Prabhupada, you can understand so much and get so much realization that it's incredible. That just like, Balaram, obviously I'm not in the same quality, you're not in the same quality as Balaram. Balaram is Vishnu Tattva, he's God. But all of us, whether we're the Swamsa or Vibhinangsha expansions of Krishna, Mami Vangsa Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Manashakshtani Indriyani Prakritishtani Karshati, our nature is meant for Krishna's enjoyment. So we should be thinking that whatever we're doing, we should be thinking that That's my nature, to give Krishna enjoyment. Anyway, little realization there. And that's what Prabhupada said. It wasn't not coming from me. So, anyway, continuing with our discussion about Balaram, the next verse. Eka I Swarupa Dongme Bina Matra Kaya. Aja Kaya Vyuha Krishna Lilara Sahaya. These two are one and the same identity. They differ only in form. Lord Balaram is the first bodily expansion of Krishna, and he assists in Lord Krishna's transcendental pastimes. And in the Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Mangal, it's also explained that the Brahman thread of Krishna is Balaram. The Singhasana is Balaram. The temple is Shesh, Balaram. So all these are different expansions of Krishna. So he's always the point is he's always serving Krishna. So you may say, as the older brother of Krishna, how is he serving Krishna? Because last night we were reading some of the pastimes of Lord Balaram in our class, and it appeared that Krishna was serving him. Krishna, when Balaram would sometimes take rest under a tree, Krishna would massage his feet, right? So how is he serving Krishna? Well, first of all, and also sometimes he appears to oppose Krishna, right? Like when Krishna wanted to get Duryodhana married to Subhadra. Arjuna, sorry. And Balaram wanted to marry, reverse. Balaram wanted to marry Subhadra with Duryodhana. And so this is like, how is this service to Krishna? And Balaram at the end of the battle of Kurukshetra was ready to kill Bhimsen, because Bhimsen had broken the thighs of Duryodhana. So, but he serves Krishna by presenting what we call in drama a foil. You understand? Creating a dramatic circumstance for Krishna to enjoy. And Krishna also enjoys serving his devotees, who Balaram is actually, in one sense, he's the best devotee. He's Vishnu Tattva, and he was Swamsa, but he's also the best devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Or sometimes we hear that Radharani is the best devotee, sometimes we hear that Govardhan is the best devotee. But Balaram, Radharani, anyway, everyone's the best devotee. Prabhupada is the best devotee. But Balaram, Krishna serves Balaram, and Balaram is his devotee, so, in one sense. So, let's read the Prabhupada's purport. Balaram is a Swamsa expansion of the Lord, and therefore, there's no difference in potency between Krishna and Balaram. The only difference is their bodily structure. So when Prabhupada is mentioning bodily structure, it's not in reference to, bones and pus and all that other stuff. It's the manifestation of Balaram, or the visual appearance of Balaram is different. You understand? It's not like we have a body of biomucus, air, tridatuke, and our bodily structure is different from other people's bodily structure. Like, for example, Adipurush, there is, certain bodily structures. Skin is a different color. He has hair. So things are quite different. But both of these bodies that he has and I have are material bodies. They're machines. Whereas Krishna and Balaram, they have the same body. There's no difference. Lajopi sana vyatman, bhutanomi shvaropi swan, prakriti swamadistaya, sambhavami atmamaya. Krishna comes in the same body when he's not in his body. He and his body are non-dual. They're the same person, same entity. And his body and his self is Satchidananda Vigraha. So when we talk about a different bodily structure, it's not the same as the different bodily structures we experience in this world. That's the point I'm making. As the first expansion of Godhead, Balaram is the chief among the first quadruple forms. Quadruple forms mean Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Prajuna, and Aniruddha. And we see this manifest in the pastimes of Lord Ram as Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughna. And he is the foremost assistant of Sri Krishna in his transcendental activities. And one more verse, text 6. Shri Krishna Navadvipa Sri Chaitanya Chandra Shri Balaram Sange Sri Nityananda. That original Lord Krishna appeared in Navadvip as Lord Chaitanya, and Balaram appeared with him as Lord Nityananda. So very nice. Nice hearing about Prabhupada. So that's Balaram's ontological position. So Balaram is the eternal brother of Krishna, and whenever Krishna appears, Balaram appears with him. As I mentioned before, he's the paraphernalia that Krishna utilizes, like Krishna's seat and everything like that. So you may ask, why was Balaram the older brother instead of the younger brother? Because he's the first expansion of Krishna. Naturally, you would assume that he'd be the younger brother. And in fact, during the pastimes of Lord Ram, Lakshman, of course, is Shesh or Balaram. Lakshman was the younger brother, and Ram was the older brother. Now, what happened is that we know the story that Lakshman was put through many difficulties in his service to Lord Ram. And the main difficulty was not the austerities that he had to execute in the forest when he was serving Lord Ram. The main difficulty is he had to put Sita in the fire, and the other difficulty was he had to send Sita away to the ashram of Valmiki Muni when Lord Ram sent her out of the kingdom. So he was very, very upset with the service he had to do. But as the younger brother, he actually served in a very humble, submissive way. So he is following the Vedic etiquette. Of course, we can contrast that with Krishna's interaction with Balaram, where Balaram was not served by Krishna in the same way. Sometimes he was, like I said, massaging the feet. But Krishna many times acted in ways contrary to what Balaram wanted. And this is what I mean by foil. He increases the intensity, the emotional intensity of the pastimes. I gave the example of Subhadra getting married to Arjuna rather than to Duryodhana, and many, many other examples that were there. So when Ram was very pleased with Lakshman, he said to Lakshman, please ask for a boon, please ask for benediction. And Lakshman said, I don't want to be your younger brother anymore. And Krishna said, and Ram said, okay, you could be my elder brother. But even as the elder brother, Krishna had his own way. You understand? Even Balaram was the elder brother, but Krishna still had his own way, proving the ontological position that, Ete Changsa Kalak Pumsa, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Sayam, that Krishna is the source of all the incarnations. So, more information about Balaram. Let's talk about his marriage. This story is there from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Once upon a time, there was a great king. His name was Rivata, and he lived in the ocean. And he had 100 sons. This is a Bhagavatam story. And his oldest son was Kakudmi. And Kakudmi's daughter was named Revati. So, Kakudmi was very, very concerned to find the proper husband for his daughter. So he was going all over the universe to try to arrange a marriage. So finally he goes to Lord Brahma's abode to find a husband, and he was told, you got to wait outside for a few minutes. We're having a concert here. So there was a concert going on, and eventually Lord Brahma comes out and says, what can I do for you? And Kukudmi says, I want to find someone qualified for my daughter. This also shows how important it is to arrange a proper marriage for one's daughters, traveling all over the universe. So Lord Brahma started laughing at him. He said, don't you understand the difference in the time factor between the Earth planet and the heavenly planets, or Lord Brahma's planet? He said, 27 Chatur Yugas have passed. 27? You know how many that is? Chatur Yuga means the 4 Yugas together. Satya, Treta, Dwarpa, and Kali. And actually sometimes Dwarpa comes, I mean most of the times Dwarpa comes right after Satya. And then Treta means the 3rd, and then Kali. We're in. So no one remembers you. No one remembers any of your relatives. Nobody remembers anything to do with you. But you better hurry down to the Earth planet, because there's Balaram, and if you don't hurry down, it's going to be too late. So then she married Balaram, and Kukudmi at that point retired. And as far as Balaram's relationship as the son of Vasudeva with Nanda Maharaj, that Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj are half-brothers. The father was named Surasena, and he had 2 wives. One was a Vaishya, and the other one was a Kshatriya. And, of course, the Kshatriya wife gave birth to Vasudeva, and the Vaishya wife gave birth to Nanda Maharaj. Balaram is white, and the Ram in his name means increasing the bliss of everyone. That's interesting. Also, he's known as Sankarshan because he unites the 2 different families. So here's the story of his appearance. That Devaki was pregnant, and her fetus, or child, was transferred to the womb of Rohini. And then Rohini gave birth to Balaram. So Gargamuni gave the name Balaram. He said Bala means strength, and Ram means to give pleasure. And he was born today on the Bala day of Purnima, 8 days before Krishna. And it's described by the Acharyas, he remained in the womb for 14 months. And it's a very similar story to how when Radharani appeared, she didn't see or open her eyes until she saw Krishna. Says Balaram's the same thing. His name-giving ceremony was the same time as Krishna's. And actually, many acharyas, especially Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, describe that Balaram actually was originally Rohini's son, and in Rohini's womb from the very beginning. And what happened was his expansion was in Devaki's womb. Just like we hear the story of how Vasudeva Krishna was in the womb of Devaki, you understand, and Nandana Krishna, the original form of Krishna, actually was given birth by Yashoda Mai. And so when Vasudeva Krishna was brought by Vasudeva, this is explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, when Vasudeva Krishna was brought by Vasudeva to Vrindavan, then the 2 became one. And so it was actually Yashoda who was the mother of Krishna, the actual mother of Krishna. Of course, in one sense, we can say that no one is the mother or father of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because Krishna, as explains in the Gita, Aham bija pradapita, I am the seed-giving father of everybody. So, some more stories. Oh yeah, here's some Vrindavan stories. That once upon a time, Krishna was eating clay or dirt. This actually took place in a place in Vrindavan called Brahmananda Ghat. Some of you may have been there. And Balaram, he got very worried. And he told Yashodamai that Krishna's eating dirt, and Yashodamai got really upset with Krishna. And Krishna says, this Balaram is just making up stories to get me in trouble. So this is what I mean. He creates some drama here, even from the very beginning. So, and then, of course, we know Yashodamai looked in Krishna's mouth, and she saw all the universes, and she saw herself, and so many things in there. So another story from Krishna's pastimes was that when Krishna's calves and cowherd boys were stolen by Lord Brahma, Balaram, who questioned everything. And the reason he questioned everything is because he wasn't part of the whole entourage when Krishna was taking care of the cows and calves when they were stolen by Lord Brahma, because that was his birthday. So he wasn't stolen. So when he saw the cows and calves having more affection for Krishna than ordinarily, the parents having more affection for their calves and for the cow and for the cowherd boys, he understood that Krishna had actually done something. And he was astounded. Sometimes Balaram gets bewildered by Krishna's pastimes. He was bewildered when Krishna was devoured by that bakasura, giant duck or crane. But Balaram was not bewildered when Krishna jumped into the Kaliya lake to chastise the Kaliya serpent. In fact, he was able to restrain all the residents of Vrindavan who were ready to jump in after Krishna tried to save Krishna. So he prevented the residents of Vrindavan from entering Yamuna. Balaram generally wears blue dress. Another pastime is the Shankachuta jewel, which came from the Shankachuta demon, which is like a conch, was given to Bala by Krishna after killing Shankachuta, and later on it was given to Radharani. Another story about Balaram, that Akrura, when he was taking Krishna and Balaram out of Vrindavan, he saw Balaram as Sheshanag and Krishna as Mahavishnu. Balaram wrestled with the wrestler Mushtika, and the story that we read last night was very interesting about Balaram's visiting Vrindavan. Balaram visited Vrindavan, and the gopis asked, does he remember us? And he narrated Krishna Katha for 2 months, and he danced with his own gopis. And as he was dancing with his own gopis, he became intoxicated by drinking the Varuna beverage, Varuni. And as he was intoxicated, he asked the Yamuna to come near so he could go bathing in the Yamuna. And Yamuna refused, thinking or considering that he was intoxicated. And Balaram took his plow and started scratching the land and bringing the Yamuna close to him. And Yamuna apologized and allowed Balaram to bathe in her. And even to this day, if you go to this place, and I forget the name of the place, maybe someone remembers, you can actually see the scratching on the land where Balaram was actually using his plow. And then, interesting, this is also in regard to Balaram's protecting Rukmi and actually chastising Krishna. What happened was when Krishna kidnapped Rukmini, Rukmi, her brother, followed them, and Rukmi tried to challenge Krishna. And Krishna, of course, was able to defeat him, and Krishna didn't kill him because Rukmini begged that her brother would be forgiven, and Krishna instead cut off his cut off his hair in very strange ways. And then Balaram sort of chastised him for that. But later on, Balaram killed Rukmi. And the reason he killed him is there was a marriage between Rukmini's grandson, that's Krishna's grandson too, Aniruddha, with Rukmi's granddaughter, it's written wrong here, granddaughter Rochana. And during this particular time, this marriage was held in a place called Bojakata. So the king of Kalinga, who later had some trouble, said, let's play chess with Balaram. Balaram was not very expert in chess. Actually, he is very expert in chess. But for pastime's sake, he appears not to be expert in chess. So they kept betting 100, 1,000, 10,000 gold coins. And, eventually Balaram won with 100,000 gold coins. But the king of Kalinga, each time Balaram lost or each time Rukmi challenged him, king of Kalinga showed his teeth like that, smiling and making fun of Balaram. So then there was a challenge, but when there was 100,000, when Rukmi claimed victory, Balaram was angry. And so there was a challenge for 100 million gold coins. And Balaram won, and a voice from the air stated Balaram is the winner. And Rukmi at that point began to criticize Balaram for having a low birth as a coward boy, not expert. And Balaram took his nice club and hit Rukmi in the head. He took his club and broke all the teeth of the king of Kalinga. It broke lots of the king's arms and legs that were actually there at the same time. It was just like a massacre. And Prabhupada comments, this is not unusual at the marriage of Kshatriyas. Usually there's some fighting or competition or something like that. In fact, like Prabhupada one time said, the red dot that the ladies have in their forehead when they get married, the tradition was that it was the blood of the husband's, not enemies, but the husband's competitors when he was trying to win his wife. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? And, the Kshatriyas were a strong race. Even you have that story of Draupadi not agreeing to tie up her hair until she had the blood of Dushasana on her hair. And then you have Bhimsen just like tearing open the chest of Dushasana. This is really something. Of course, it's described in the Mahabharata that he didn't really drink the blood. He just went like that. He didn't drink the blood. But, and he took the blood and he put it on Draupadi's hair. Can you imagine such a thing? Taking blood, like Adipurusha when you got married, taking blood and putting. So, and then one of my favorite stories about Balaram is the Dvidvita gorilla story. Now, the interesting thing about this story is it just didn't happen out of the blue. It's not that Dvidvita was disrespectful to Balaram just like out of the blue, spontaneously. He was actually offensive to Balaram when Balaram appeared as Lakshman. He was a devotee. It's a really interesting story because Dvidvita, who was like a gorilla, he was a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he performed amazing service in assisting Lord Ram. Carrying big boulders, defeating the demons and everything like that. And he disrespected Lakshman. He was nasty towards Lakshman. And as a result, he took up bad association. Because when you commit offenses against devotees, and of course Lakshman, Balaram, Shesh, that's the best devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Another thing about Balaram is you can't approach Krishna or serve Lord Ram unless you have the mercy of Balaram. Nayamatma bala hinena labdva. No one gets the mercy of Krishna unless he gets the mercy of Balaram, and Balaram is the original guru. So this is really important. Relationship with guru. So he disrespected the original guru and took up bad association. And it's described as some of the acharyas that he is the Lord's eternal associate, so it's actually a pastime. Some of the acharyas explain it like this. So what happened is that he was really a nasty gorilla. He would, rape ladies and, do all sorts of horrible things. So one time in the Raivata Hills near Dwarka, Balaram was having his, rasa dance or dancing with a lot of ladies. And this gorilla, who happened to be intoxicated at that time, did so many things. He showed his rear end. He passed stool and urine and was grabbing the clothes of the gopis, Balaram's gopis or Balaram's girlfriends at that point. I don't know if they were actually gopis, but they were girlfriends. And he started fighting with Balaram with stones and trees. After a while, there were no trees left in the whole mountain because both of them had pulled out all the trees. And then he charged Balaram and started hitting him, just with his fists, if gorillas have fists, I guess, whatever they call them. Then Balaram put down his weapons and struck the throat of this rascal, and it broke the chest, and this rascal vomited blood and died. That's Balaram. Great strength. And then, here's another story. I get so many stories here about Balaram. This story is about Balaram attacking Hastinapur. So, once upon a time, Samba, who was actually a very naughty boy, and he was the son of Jambavati, one of Krishna's wives, went and he kidnapped Duryodhana's daughter, Lakshmana. So, as I mentioned, this is one of the methods by which one can get married. It's called a Rakshasa marriage. Krishna, in fact, did that with Rukmini. And so anyway, it's bona fide. If any of you young men want to get, no young men here, want to get married, you can kidnap the girl. So, but she has to go voluntarily. So we kidnapped Lakshman, Samba, and he was arrested by the Kuru dynasty. So Narada, the great troublemaker, carried the news to Ugrasena. And everyone in the Yadu dynasty was prepared to fight and attack the Kuru dynasty. So Balaram thought, let me be a peacemaker, a messenger of peace, messenger of Ugrasena. And they received Balaram very nicely when he came. But then when he gave instructions to them, the Kurus got very angry and said, hey, the feet, referring to Balaram and the Yadu dynasty, the feet are giving instructions to the head. Now, culturally, in India, feet are considered very impure. In the West, we don't have this particular type of concept that the feet are impure. But Prabhupada was very strong about which direction the feet should be in when you offer obeisances, not to offer obeisances with your feet to the deities or feet to the guru, not to, like devotees were very accustomed, in the Western world, we're very accustomed to moving things around like furniture with our feet. It's like monkeys. Monkeys, their feet are like hands. So Prabhupada got very upset when the devotees were doing that. One has to be very, very careful. I know in Indian culture that even if you put your shoes on, you're supposed to just sprinkle your hands after you put your shoes on with your hands. So anyway, so the Guru said the feet are giving instructions to the head. We're actually the head. And even you borrowed our royal insignia from us. Balaram got really upset, and he dragged the whole city towards the Ganges. Some acharyas say the Yamuna. Anyway, different explanations. And the acharyas also say that the Kurus did this because they wanted to see Balaram's power. This is some of the explanations of the acharyas. Not that they were actually opposed to Balaram. And eventually the Kurus presented Lakshmana and Samba, and they got happily married. So another interesting story, another one I like, is the story of Romaharshana Sutta. Actually, I like all these stories. Balaram heard about the battle of Kurukshetra, but did not want to take sides because he had attachments on both sides. Now, his attachments are spiritual, obviously. In fact, one of the names of Balaram is Duryodhana Guru. One of my godbrothers is named Duryodhana Guru, and the devotees would always call him Duryodhana. But very nice devotee, Duryodhana Guru. That's the name of Balaram because he was the guru. Well, the reason he became the guru of Duryodhana, not the spiritual guru, but the martial arts guru, is because Duryodhana wanted to butter him up so that Balaram would arrange for the marriage with him and Subhadra. And the reason that was thought of by Duryodhana was because good old Uncle Shakuni, he wanted to make an alliance. That's how they made alliances in those days between different kingdoms with marriages. The marriages weren't just like, oh, love, this person should love someone else. They were thinking how to ally ourselves with this other kingdom. And basically, Duryodhana and Shakuni were thinking if we can ally ourselves with the Yadu dynasty, then Arjuna will be finished, and the Pandavas will be finished. So, anyway, therefore, Balaram, when he heard about the battle of Kurukshetra, he did not want to take sides. So he thought, let me go on pilgrimage. So he was going all around India on pilgrimage. This is described in the Krishna book. Eventually, he arrives at this place called Naimisharanya. And Romaharshana Sutta is giving the Bhagavatam class or preaching to the devotees there. And Romaharshana Sutta is a disciple of Vyasa. The reason he's called a Sutta, which means a mixed family, is mixed family, like Brahmin mother, Kshatriya father, or Chudra father, something like that. And so, like a pratilom. And so, when Balaram entered this assembly of Romaharshana Sutta giving Bhagavatam class, Romaharshana Sutta didn't rise to respect him. And so Balaram at that particular point took out a little piece of kusha grass and killed him. And then the sages, they said to Balaram, of course he was disrespectful to you. However, we gave him the benediction he would have a long life, and we blessed him. How can you kill him? You have to do something. And so basically they decided, and Balaram decided to appoint, first of all, they decided to appoint Romaharshana Sutta's son, Sutta Goswami, to become the reciter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Balaram was told to atone for his sins. Of course, Balaram doesn't commit sins. By killing this demon that was harassing him named Balvala, and to go on pilgrimage for 1 year. So the story about Balvala, he was the son of Ilvala, and he was also pretty gross demon. He used to pass stool, urine, and everything like a front of everybody. So, let's see, other stories. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, some of the philosophical points, he's the deity. Balaram is considered the deity and the predominating deity of the Sandini Shakti, of the Supreme Personality of God, of the existential Shakti. There's Samvit, Sandini, let's do it, Sandini, Samvit, and Ladini, Satchidananda, like this. The existential, that means eternality. So also there's an explanation by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the Chaitanya Shikshamrita. He explains there are two demons killed by Balaram, and the contaminations they represent have to be removed by the dint of a devotee's own endeavor. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains this is one of the secret mysteries of Braja Bhakti. And so those two demons are, first of all, the jackass demon, Dhenukasura. We read that story last night. And he was killed by Balaram, and Balaram threw him in the air, in the tree, and knocked down all the trees. And Krishna also threw all of his friends up in the air, too, and they were able to eat the tal fruits. So the jackass demon, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, represents the bad mentality of overburdened load carrying. That means a mudha, someone who's just like interested in just acquiring different things, enjoying the senses, and working hard for this charvita charavananam, chewing the already chewed. And the Palamba demon, who Balaram killed, Palambasura, represents lust for the company of the opposite sex, as well as the desire for profit, adoration, and distinction. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, when one, a devotee, endeavors with enthusiasm to remove these contaminations, then, by Lord Balaram's mercy, they will be cast far away. So in other words, we have to endeavor, not simply ask Balaram to do everything for us. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur further explains that Dhenukasura causes complete and total ignorance of one's eternal identity. In other words, just working hard for material things and just over-endeavor for material things. It also stimulates foolish misconceptions about the eternal nature of the holy name of the Lord. Plus, it misdirects one with delusions about what is actually worshipable. These contaminations must be cast out through great endeavor. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Great endeavor on the part of the devotee. In other words, it's not that you just say, Krishna, Balaram, just take away all these things. You have to work at it. In other words, use your intelligence. You know, sometimes people think, I just chant Hare Krishna, and one day I'll wake up with all the anarthas gone. It's not like that. You really have to work at it. Control your senses. Vacho, Vegam, Manasa, Krota, Vegam. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, the methods of the process of purification are very deep and mysterious. Therefore, it is necessary to learn about them directly from a bona fide spiritual master. So, many times people are reluctant to follow the order of the spiritual master, to follow the orders of Prabhupada, certain things that are methods of purification. And we've been talking about this recently, like avoiding food cooked by non-devotees. People think this is just a very unimportant injunction. But actually, it's a method of purification. And having good sadhana is a method of purification. So Prabhupada, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says the methods of the process of purification are very deep and mysterious. Therefore, it is necessary to learn about them directly from a bona fide spiritual master. So, okay. I think that's all we have to. I have more stories here. Oh, here's a story about Palambasura. He was disguised as a coward boy and had Balaram was nervous about killing him because he was a coward boy. Also, he thought maybe another demon was attacking Krishna at the same time. So Balaram was actually a little hesitant about killing Palambasura. And of course, Palambasura carried Balaram off. They had this whole competition. So, and he manifested his form eventually, and Balaram said, "My, how this carrier has changed," and Balaram smashed him in the head. So any questions or comments about any of these things? Yes? Yeah. That's actually a good point, that he displays anger quite a bit. I mean, generally when you hear about Krishna killing the demons, it's rather nonchalant. You know, Krishna just throws his Sudarshan chakra at the demons or kills them. It's not that there's so much like a manifestation. It actually is a good point. Well, I think that's because Balaram kills the demons when they offend Krishna or the devotees. Whereas Krishna is, very compassionate. He doesn't accept any personal offenses. And Balaram, that's an interesting question. I was just thinking about it. This is just thoughts that come to my mind. That when someone is offensive to Krishna or offensive to the devotees, then Balaram gets particularly upset. Like when the Kuru dynasty offended the Yadu dynasty, it was because they offended Krishna too. And Balaram got so upset and started dragging the city of Hastinapur into the Yamuna. So it appears to be because there's some offense against devotee or against Krishna. Whereas, sometimes you find Krishna getting angry, but it really appears like he's really nonchalant when he's killing the demons. It's a good point. Just like, all right, you offended me, you get killed. Whereas Balaram really manifests it. Very good point. Yeah, he was about to kill Dasra. He was also ready to kill Bharat. When Bharat came to try to bring Ram back to Ayodhya, Lakshman just was, he spotted them first and he got ready and he said, "I'm going to kill them," because they're coming to attack Ram. So, there seems to be that manifestation of transcendental anger. What? Yeah, that's true. As Lord Nityananda, it's a little bit different. That's interesting. When he appeared as Lord Nityananda, it was quite a different scenario.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Dipan Dikayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Amaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Amaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Namaham 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 Bhajami
Tamaham Bhajami. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan. Shri Govinda, Gopinatha, Madana, Mohan. Shaima Kunda, Radha Kunda, Giri Govardhan. Kalini Yamuna Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu. Kesi Gata Bamshi Bhatta Dwadasakana Nyahasab Lila Koela Shinanda Nanda. Shinanda Yashoda Jaya Jaya Gopakaran. Shinamare Jaya Jaya Venu Vatsa Jaya Prishabhanu Jaya Kirtina Sunare Jaya Purna Masi Jaya Biradagare Jaya Jaya Gopishara Vrindavan Mahaja Jaya Jaya Krishna Sakara Bhattu Dvijara Jaya Rama Kata Jaya Rohini Nandan Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Vasi Jata Jahan Jaya Dvija Patni Jaya Naga Kanya Bhakti Jai Jahara Paira Govinda Charan Shirasa Mandala Jaya Jaya Radha Shyam Jaya Jaya Ratsalila Sarvamanoram Jaya Jaya Jwala rasa sarva rasa sagra. Parakeya Bhaveja Brajate Para Bhaveya Brajate Brajate Shi Janavapada Padma Koryasmana ha ha. Dina Krishna Dasakohe Namasankirtan. Jaya Rad, hey, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan. Jaya Rad, Hagorokinanarad, Hagorokinanarade. Jaya Rad, Hagorokinanarad, Hagorokinanarade. Jaya Rad, hey, Rande, Rade, Rade. Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhikacharya also Teta Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Sabaya Chanananda Bhaktivinoda Goswami Srila Prabhupada ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Sayam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Mathuradam Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Shrimati Lassi Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Gaur. All glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda, Tamam Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale, Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nami, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurani Pachani Nivasesha Shinivadi Paschatyadejatarni. So let's read the translation. All glories to Radha Krishna and the divine forest of Vrindavan. All glories to the three presiding deities of Vrindavan, Shri Govinda Gopinath and Madan Mohan. All glories to Shaimakund, Radhakund, Govardhan Hill, and the Yamuna River, Kalindi. All glories to the great forest known as Mahavan. All glories to Keshigat, the Bamsivat tree, and the 12 forests of Braja. At these places, the son of Nanda, Shri Krishna, performed all of his pastimes. All glories to Krishna's divine father and mother, Nanda and Yashoda. All glories to the cowherd boys, headed by Sriram. All glories to the cows and calves of Braja. All glories to Radha's divine father and mother, Vrishabhanu, and the beautiful Kirtida. All glories to Purnamasi, the mother of Sandipani Muni. All glories to the young cowherd maidens of Braja. All glories to Gopishra Shiva, who resides in Vrindavan in order to protect the holy Dham. All glories to Krishna's funny Brahmin friend, Madhumangal. All glories to Ramagat, where Lord Balaram performed his rasa dance. All glories to Lord Balaram, the son of Rohini. All glories to all the residents of Vrindavan. All glories to the wives of the proud Vedic Brahmanas. All glories to the wives of the Kaliya serpent. Through pure devotion, they all obtain the lotus feet of Lord Govinda. All glories to the place where the rasa dance of Shri Krishna was performed. All glories to Radha and Shyam. All glories to the divine rasa dance, which is the most beautiful of all Lord Krishna's pastimes. All glories to the mellow of conjugal love, which is the most excellent of all rasas and is propagated in Braj by Shri Krishna in the form of the divine Padaki above. Remembering the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda's consort, Sri Janavadevi, this very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna sings the Sankirtan of the holy name. Janmani Shvare Bhavatad Bhakti Vinay Chaki Twaye Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitamam Vishme Bhavan Buddha Kripaya Tapapada Pankaja Stita Juli Sadrisham Chintaya Nam Galuda Shuda Raya Vadanam Gadgada Rudiya Gira Pulaka Nishitam Bapukada Tava Namaha Brine Bhavishati Yugaitam Nimishena Chakshusha Pravishaitam Junyaitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Vidahename Ashli Shiva Pada Padashtumam Adarshanam Armatam Karotava Yata Tata Bhavadatu Lampato Matprananatas to save Anaparaha. Regulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings. And thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street, One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen to the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up as from the ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and I shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Jai Shikshashtaka Ki Jai. That's a half-day fast for Balaram.